back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the Yellowstone supervolcano predictions. Now, there's a lot going on, and this is actually something that I have been remote viewing and following for a long time. The first time it really came up was back in 2017. And so I want to talk about exactly what's going on right now. I want to give you a little overview on how I do what I do as a remote viewer. And then also I want to go into what I actually saw just now, just today, about 20 minutes ago when I was writing notes for this video on what really is happening with the volcano, what are the most probable timelines moving forward, and what do we need to know about it right now. Now, if you are new to this topic, if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about with this Yellowstone supervolcano, let me just give you a bit of a lowdown. So very recently, and I'm talking in the past probably, 3 or 4 days, there has been a lot of odd things happening in Yellowstone. And essentially, the main thing was a couple of viral videos that showed animals, buffalo and bears, fleeing. They're just running away. And it looks like a very odd sort of migration pattern, or they're causing sort of traffic jams. And people are very concerned about that. You know, where are these animals going? Why are they leaving? And then on top of that, it's very clear that there's been a lot of sort of seismic activities and what are they called? Like earthquakes, like little mini earthquakes all around the volcano, a lot more than normal. And there's also been a hole, and actually a couple of holes, I believe, but don't quote me on it, that have opened up in the basin around this supervolcano. Now, the reason why this is really important to talk about, and that's not just for North America, but for all over the world, is this is a massive volcano. Okay, it's a supervolcano. If it were to erupt tomorrow, let's say, the smoke alone that comes out of the volcano is going to cool the planet exponentially. And it would be a serious problem for a lot of people, especially North America. And of course, it's going to affect everything else. And so on top of that, of course, the eruption alone, just within that vicinity, would be absolutely devastating. Now, what's really fascinating is back in 2017, I was talking to the Galactic Federation of Light, and I do want to talk a little bit about what I do and how I do it, but so essentially, like, I channel or tap into an organization of extraterrestrials. If you're new here, it's weird, but whatever. And so back in 2017, like, no one knew I was doing this back then. I was alerted to a problem that they were solving. And so, you know, typically, like, I'll leave my body and remote view over to their ship and like talk to them about what's going on planet Earth. But this was like an emergency situation. They called me up and they said, we need to talk to you about this potential happening. I said, what is it? And they said that there is a volcano in Yellowstone, I guess the park. I mean, at the time I was in Canada, so I'm like, okay, in America somewhere, in the US. And they said that there is a very real possibility that this is going to erupt. And if it does, it's going to be absolutely devastating to North America and to the rest of the world. This is the first time I ever heard about it, and I didn't even know that it existed. And I said, okay, well then what do you need me to do about it? How can I help? What are you doing about it? And they said that they are working on, or were working on, shifting the timeline so that our current timeline was not to experience that right now, because it would actually throw us off our ascension path, which essentially means they were allowed to intervene back then because it was not going to be aligned to our highest planetary collective contracts. And it kind of it definitely does get confusing, and also really confusing in the way that every single timeline exists out to infinity. And so the timeline where that does erupt and the timeline where it is devastating, it not only does exist, it's already happened in 2017. We didn't experience it. So I knew about it back then. All right. And there's actually, I think we pulled up maybe 5 or 6 videos that I talked about the Yellowstone volcano. So just back in 2023, it was actually the 2023 prediction video. I talked about the Yellowstone supervolcano, more rumbling, more seismic activity, not erupting, but to watch out for essentially more earthquakes and more activity around the Yellowstone volcano. That was in 2023 prediction video. In June 2024, in a members only video, I once again spoke about the Yellowstone event. This is something that is seriously a problem. It could potentially be a problem. And then just recently in another members only Q&A event, just this year in 2025, I explained to my members about the 2017 Galactic Federation timeline shift of the Yellowstone volcano. This is something that has been on my mind and that I have been tracking for a number of years, really since the Galactic Federation told me about it in 2017. And like I said, I didn't even know it existed, let alone it being a problem. Okay. Cool. So what I do, right, is I remote view. Essentially, I get out of my body, I go to different locations, and I can see things. Like I can go to Egypt and look under the pyramids, for example. So I can go to an underground military base and see what they're doing there. Sometimes I get into tricky situations because I push my boundaries, which is fine. And so in order to look at the Yellowstone volcano, I went to the location. I took a look literally underneath the volcano to take a look. Is there really activity happening? Are animals actually fleeing? Are they fleeing because of the seismic activity? Like what's really going on and why is it happening? And then, of course, switching to what do we need to know moving forward about it, okay? I do want to mention too that I don't just do this because I can do it, even though I've taught myself naturally. I am actually a certified remote viewer, which is pretty badass, which means I have also, on top of my natural gifts, been trained in SRV, which is called scientific remote viewing. So I am able to pick up on blind coordinates as well, which once again, like I've got level 2 certification on that. Okay, so let's talk about what I saw in my remote viewing 20 minutes ago. So first thing that I picked up on is there is movement under the volcano. There is movement under the Yellowstone volcano. It's very clear that there is just more activity, more movement. The main thing that I picked up on, now look, like I'm not a scientist, I'm definitely not a geologist, if that's the right term, probably not. I do not know these terminologies. So if I'm just gonna put it out there, okay? I write down what I see and the words that come to mind. Very specifically, what came through was a tectonic plate shift. All right, so yeah, I mean, volcanoes come and go and their activities, sometimes they get stronger, sometimes they get weaker. Specifically with the Yellowstone supervolcano, I saw tectonic plate shifts. So it's like the ground around there is like, I really saw it like stretching and moving. Anyway, that's what I saw. And then when I asked why are these giant sort of, I guess, plates of Earth, why are they moving? Why are they shifting? It was due to the pole shift and electromagnetic changes. Like it literally felt like the Earth is being stretched and then compressed and then stretched again and compressed again. Like that's the vibe that I was getting. And of course that's going to affect everything, but it's also specifically going to affect volcanoes and supervolcanoes, right? If you could imagine just having that magma underneath the Earth, stretching it out, pushing it together, that's what I saw. So yes, absolutely, that is happening. That's very clear. One thing that I always take a look at as well is this a conspiracy? Is it an agenda? Is there some nefarious activity going on? Is this being propagated by someone or something or some organization? And in this case in particular, no. it really does look like this is all very natural. But once again, it is being caused by sort of the electromagnetic changes. It just felt like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. I'll leave it there. Okay, and then what else did I see? Yes, so a major eruption does not feel imminent. That was very clear. I did not see a major eruption in our lifetime, actually. It could activate, though. So I did see that there could be a good chance that it activates, possibly in the next couple of years. And I saw smoke, but not devastating. Like if an eruption at 100% would be super ultra devastating, I saw that maybe like a minor activation, maybe some smoke here and there, at maybe like a 10% out of 100% ratio, if that makes sense. So we may see that in the next 3 years, and it's definitely going to scare a lot of scientists and geologists or whoever those specialists are. But I definitely don't see a major eruption event happening in our lifetime. As a matter of fact, I saw like, oh yeah, many generations. It will erupt eventually, but it will be many generations away, is what I saw. Once again, all timelines exist. This is just the main probable timeline that we're on right now. And then I did see that the animals will migrate back. It's like, I think that the seismic activity, I think that a lot of the earthquakes and things like that are just spooking them, scaring them, and they're feeling that, and they are moving away, and I did see them coming back. Yes. All right. Okay, so also going back to the Galactic Federation, I saw that they are monitoring the situation closely, and they say that this is normal for Earth to experience. They're like, yep, it's, electromagnetic, basically the poles are starting to shift. The electromagnetism around planet Earth is changing. That is all very natural. That is what is planned. And yes, it is shifting the tectonic plates all around planet Earth, and that's fine. So, oh yeah, so I did see, speaking of elites and agendas and cover-ups and conspiracies, I saw when I was taking a look at like, okay, is this prompted by elites? Is there something behind this? I didn't see that, but I did see that the shadow government might either A, try and cover this up and say, don't worry about it, nothing to worry about, look over here instead, like it's all good, which they do often. Or they might actually utilize this as a push for their climate change agendas. Nothing crazy, but I mean, to be expected, essentially. Okay, like I said, I did see that it will erupt, but not for many generations. And what was interesting is, in the future, when I did see a really big eruption, that there would be a solution or solutions for the impact at that time. And then I was just curious. I'm like, what kind of solutions would mitigate the impact of a giant supervolcano eruption? And there were two things. One was to minimize or contain the blast radius, and it almost looked like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. It almost looked like a bubble, a force field. Yes, it looked like a force field. And this is, once again, this is like a human thing that humans invented, but probably reverse engineered from extraterrestrials. Like, who knows? Like I said, many generations in the future. So one of the things was like basically a force field that contains the blast radius that minimizes the damage. So it's like they don't stop it, but they minimize it. And then the second thing was some sort of technology, like if you could imagine a giant vacuum that sucks, it's almost like a vacuum and a filter. It would suck up all of the smoke, and then it would just filter it out to clean air again. So like I said, when that does happen, it looks like we will have the solutions for it. Years ago, I would have laughed at those solutions and said there's no freaking way humans could ever have that sort of technology. But now with the emergence of AI and like just the solutions that it's bringing about, I'm an open book. I'm open to anything, but I am typically a very sort of skeptical Very logical person. All right. What else? And then, yeah, and then I will say that before the major eruption, in a while from now, there will be scares. And talk of it before then, like, say, for example, the little mini activation with the smoke coming out, or right now, there's a lot of scare around the animals migrating and sort of the seismic activity that we're monitoring. And so there will be scares like that leading up to it. Hopefully those scares and the monitoring from humans and scientists will kind of push us into some of these solutions to mitigate the impact. If you want to know more about what I talk about behind the scenes, I don't put all of my videos on YouTube. I actually put a very small percentage of my remote viewing and my information on YouTube. Mostly that's a safety thing. So head over to my website, elizabethapril.com, and check out all of my videos. You could even type in, I'm sure you could type in Yellowstone and see all of the other videos where I've talked about this before, going back at least to 2023, if not before then. And then, speaking of the Galactic Federation, I have paired up with an amazing company called the Galactic Federation of Light, and they have a lot of great comfy wear. This is my favorite. It says, "This is your sign." I love wearing this sweater around and really impacting people. If they're going through a hard time in their life and they see this sweater and they're like, "This is your sign," it's like, take that leap of faith. You know, sign up for that job, do that new thing, go on that trip. If you're doubting something, go for it. So definitely check out the Galactic Federation apparel. I personally love it and wear their stuff all the time. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up, share this video to anyone who's talking about this volcano, and subscribe if you haven't already. All right, guys, thank you so, so much. Keep up the good work. I love all of you. It's a crazy time to be alive, but I am here for it, and I'm glad you are too. Bye for now.